Look at you putting two and two together there.
So smart.
You're so smart. I don't know. The 60s
they
were
got-
a weird time.
60s were a weird time.
I feel like we should just have an episode dedicated to all the strange Reddit usernames that we see here.
Hello, and welcome.
Much more exuberant this time. I think I just started like, okay, let's talk about this.
Hello, and welcome to this episode of Mystery Whiskery.
Where we drink cold brew.
And talk about romantic novels.
Oh, Lord, no.
Welcome to Mystery Whiskery. In this episode, we are not drinking Whiskery.
Whiskery.
We are drinking Cold Brewery.
Cold brewery. A mystery is a brewing. This episode.
It is. It is. I'm gonna give a shout out to my new shirt. And it's by this fantastic Etsy creator that I will put in the comment. Oh, no. I know them. Murder Apparel.
Yeah.
Etsy, Murder Apparel. And it says,
Does that mean you're supposed to wear it if you're like planning to murder someone?
if you've been murdered, if you're going to murder.
If you're going to be murdered?
If you're going to be murdered, I think that kind of covers all the murder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty much all you can do. Is murder or be murdered.
Yes.
Yeah. You can wear it while thinking about murder.
Or murderee.
I would assume maybe you could also wear it when you're talking about murder.
So Joan Risch disappeared in 1961. A little backstory on Joan. She was born in Brooklyn in 1930, and 10 years later her parents were killed. Both of her parents were killed in a suspicious fire. That's all they said. Suspicious fire.
Other details.
I didn't
were
find
given,
any
just
other
suspicious.
details. It was just like, this suspicious fire happened, and that's all that it mentioned. And she was a smart lady herself. In the 50s, she went to Wilson College in Pennsylvania, and she got a degree in English literature. And then she started as a secretary, worked her way up to supervise the secretarial pool, and then she became an editorial assistant at a publishing company. She left her job, her career as to become like a housewife, got pregnant, had a daughter, 2 years later had a son. She also got involved in League of Women Voters, which I thought was pretty cool that she was like still doing something she's passionate about. October 24th, 1961, everything was normal, and
we would assume not normal, because that is a particular date we're focusing on here.
everything started out normal.
Dun, dun, dun.
Until her husband left for a business trip, flew out that morning at like 8 o'clock. She brought her son over to a neighbor's house, Barbara something, and
Barb.
Barb.
Whatever, she's not important for this story.
Babs.
Hey Babs,
Hey,
wanna watch
Babs.
my son for the afternoon, Babs?
Barbara Barker. Barbara Barker. So she drops her son off at Bab's house, and her daughter go to a dentist appointment. They were seeing this new dentist that was recommended by a college friend. Around roughly 11:15, she picks up her son and she brings her children back to the house. She makes lunch for them, and then her son goes down for his afternoon nap. At 1, the neighbor, Barbara, brought her son over, who was also 4 to play with the daughter. Yeah, so the kids were like playing in the house, and Joan was just doing like normal things in the like around the house. Right before 2 p.m., she took the children back across the street to Barbara's house, but she didn't tell Barbara. At 2:15, Barbara saw Joan wearing what she thought was a trench coat over her clothing, moving something red in her driveway. And she thought she was just like playing with the kids, because she didn't know the kids were at her house, not at Joan's house. Around 3:15, one of the neighbors got off the bus and they saw an unfamiliar car in Joan's driveway, or like in front of her house or something. It was dirty two-tone with one of the colors being blue. And then I guess Barbara figured out that the kids were at her house, so at 3:40, Barbara took Lillian and also dropped her off without telling Joan. She was like, me and the son have to go run some errands. So she just
So
like
everyone was just like leaving their doors open at this time? Okay.
I guess. I mean, again, it's like a small town with like, everyone knows each other, I guess, so it's
They don't really...
fine.
Again, 4 years old.
4 years old. At 4:15, Lillian goes back over, Joan's daughter goes back over to Barbara's house and goes, "Mommy is gone and the kitchen is covered with red paint." And apparently the 2-year-old son was up in his bed crying because he needed a diaper change. Mm-hmm. By 4:33, Barbara calls the police. The police get there. The kitchen, there's like blood smeared everywhere. The phone was ripped off the wall. There's paper towels that were like used. So there were large smears of blood on the kitchen walls and floor, and also on the phone, and 3 bloody fingerprints were identified, but they didn't have her fingerprints because her body was missing, so they couldn't be like, is this Joan's? Is this somebody else's bloody fingerprints?
Was there body found, or no, blood found anywhere else in the house?
Yes.
Besides the kitchen?
The most was in the kitchen, but then there was some blood outside. There was like a 1/8 of an inch wide drop on a stairway, and 2 more similar sizes at the top of the stairs and in the master bedroom and near a window in the children's bedroom, and a trail of blood from the kitchen into the driveway. Mm-hmm. And then it ended by Joan's car, which had blood stains in it, but like on the outside. Mm-hmm. It near the fender, the hood, and the windshield.
Yeah. Was there signs of a struggle at all, or did it seem like it was just someone
aside
like
from
a single
like
person bleeding out?
That's the thing. Like aside from the telephone was ripped off the wall, and I think there was like a chair that was like knocked over. But that seemed like the extent. With the people saying that there was a car in the driveway or in front of the house, and with this bloody mess and her missing, it seems like somebody came into the house and did something and took her.
If they had taken her, then with the amount of blood that was everywhere, wouldn't there have been some bleeding out to the street, or like if someone had taken her and like put her in a car?
I mean, there was a small trail to her car, but that's where it stopped. Mm-hmm. And then also, one of the sources I read said, despite like the mess that was left, the amount of blood was only like a pint, or even less than a pint. And then some people claim to have seen her walking around near a construction site with something on her that looked like mud or blood, and she was like out of it, and apparently no one stopped or said anything or called the cops.
You see somebody walking down the street at like 6 a.m. that and you're gonna be like, hey, are you okay?
Yeah.
No.
And
just
especially in like a town like this where it seems like everyone knows each other, and it's like, oh hey, look, there's Joan bleeding. Hey,
looks like she's covered in some weird mud out by this construction site.
What did she do?
Old Joan. What you doing, Joan?
So that's what appears, and I thought that until I read. It's very fascinating. A few months later, somebody was like researching this disappearance, and they went to the library to research.
Researching some research. As one researches the researchers.
They found some interesting research. That a month before Joan's disappearance, she went to the library and took 25 books out in the summer of 1961 that were about murders and missing person cases. There was also one specific book entitled Into Thin Air, which was about a woman who left behind blood smears and a towel when she went missing.
The fuck?
Yeah. Creepy. Reddit theories. Okay.
I'm sure they are ripe for this one.
When I read this first theory, I thought they were kidding at first. Apparently they weren't. They're like dead serious. It seems like she sent the kids to Barbara's house in kind of a hurry. She was doing yard work. What if she was having horrible stomach cramps, needed to go to the bathroom, and she had miscarried an unknown pregnancy, exclamation point. Which that part sounds legit, but this is the part that I thought they were kidding about. She goes to the kitchen to call an ambulance. 911 didn't exist then. She went to the emergency phone number page, but nothing was written there. She falls down, rips the phone out of the wall in the process, tries to use the table to get back up. She fails and it falls, smearing the blood dripping from her onto the floor. She gets the fetus. They put that in quotes. I'm not trying to put that in a quote.
Sorry. Okay, we're not laughing at the. Oh God, it's just the way.
It's the way it's written.
It's the way that it's.
She gets the fetus.
I'm just laughing at the fact that they like. Okay.
Put
anyway.
quotes around the word fetus.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know why. As if.
As one needs to put quotes around the
as
word
if something
fetus.
else came out of her.
Yeah. It's just a really
She
big
got the
shit, you
fetus
guys.
or whatever
just a
else
really
this
big
was.
shit.
Yeah. She gets the fetus and rushes out to the yard. She put on a trench coat. As one does after they have a miscarriage.
Hurry! I need to cover my.
Like what?
I need to cover the fetus.
Are they so common that she just was like, I'm bleeding out, but let me grab my trench coat that happens to be right here, throw that on. She put the trench coat on too because she's bleeding and probably didn't have any underwear anymore. By this time she's lost.
We should not be laughing at such a thing.
No, it's just the way this is written. It's not what it's actually, the subject matter
No
that we're laughing
offense,
at.
WKY Bears fan, do not be a mystery writer.
By this time, she's lost a lot of blood and is disoriented, so she just takes off to the hospital, doctor, etc. She never makes it. Somewhere along route, she passes out and bled out. Maybe her body was found and not cataloged properly. Maybe it was never located.
What does not catalog properly mean?
I don't know. They're like, hey, look at this dead body. I guess I'm just gonna like...
Got a catalog this.
The blood would have attracted animals faster. I don't know. Just my own theory. Which I was like, is this person serious? Until Stop Right Meow said, this to me seems like the best explanation. Apart from the beer. The beer is puzzling itself to me. I forgot to mention the beer.
Okay, I feel like that's an important detail, especially now.
So, as you could see, the phone was ripped off the wall. The table was knocked over. It wasn't a chair. I said chair before. The table was knocked over, and there was beer in I think a wastebasket, which they thought was weird because there wasn't any beer in the house prior to that. And when she went to the market, they checked it out and she didn't buy any beer. So they're like,
okay,
where did this beer come from? It's apparently my 50s voice.
where did this beer come from?
Where did this beer come from?
I mean, just like thinking about it, theoretically, maybe it's possible, right? Because there's no clear signs of a struggle, right? She's in a panic, if that was the case, right? But then, was there any sort of... Again, I think that would have been an important detail in the actual case to have been mentioned if, like, her husband would have known.
Monkey fudge hair also thinks that this seems the most plausible. But, now this theory is even more. This is what a lot of people think. What if it was a botched abortion? Say the doctor shows up to do the procedure and it goes bad. She tries calling an ambulance, but the doctor doesn't let her. She runs, he chases, and finally passes it out. Doctor takes the body. Performing abortions was illegal at that time, and it might explain why the body was never found. If she did just wander off and die from blood loss, her body should be nearby. I'm not sure what that neighborhood looks like, though. Yes.
So who would this doctor be? Like, one from the shady-ass phone book kind of doctor? Like on The Simpsons?
Well,
where you're like, hey, I need an abortion, and like he just kills you too if it goes wrong. Like, is that part of the contract that you signed?
Doctor,
by the way, if it's a botched abortion, I'm gonna just like murder you and take your body.
That is it. It's the fine print. She did not have her reading glasses that day.
No.
I also forgot to mention one thing. Some of the witnesses that saw the blue car in front, said they saw a man with the car, and he was also putting tree branches like into the car.
Now my brain is swirling to many strange places
Yeah.
because of all these theories about
These theories are so fascinating.
abortion, miscarriage, murdering doctors, and man with tree branch.
Yes. So, Grace 2, I have an observation that if the abortion/miscarriage explanation is correct, may account for the beer. In the 70s, my mother had a hysterectomy and was actually prescribed beer to help restore iron level. I remember it seemed funny at the time. All the funnier because she didn't like beer and had to force herself to drink it. If Joan had lost blood as a result of the abortion and the miscarriage, she may have either received advice to drink beer or known to do so as a folk remedy. Do records ever indicate what type of beer it was? Apparently dark beers like stout contain more iron than light beer. Which, that actually, like, makes sense. Yeah. Like, that's legit, like, why there's, like, random beers. But people were like, yeah, like, or maybe I just thought of it, but somebody thought, like, you know, if her husband didn't know, she's not gonna have, like, a prescription. And if it's, like, you know, this, like, doctor who's performing illegal abortions, he's not gonna, like, prescribe her or something, like, you know what I mean? Like, medication.
I mean, things aren't looking pretty well for this doctor to begin with. If
doctor.
There was, roll it up in his shady ass car, throw
two-tone blue car with leaves. Divisible by 5 says, and docs in the 70s used to prescribe alcohol for preterm labor. Every contraction, take a drink of liquor, according to my hippie childbirth research. Maybe beer was to lessen the intensity of the contraction/bleeding or to restore what iron she'd lost. Again, makes sense to the beer, the mystery beer. And then somebody goes, the beer was cans of Miller High Life, not dark beer by any means. I mean, maybe she didn't know about it. Maybe it was just like, get beer.
This comment chain has turned to strange places.
Yeah, I mean, maybe she's like, listen, I'm living the high life.
You gotta get some
Miller High Life.
Not brought to you by Miller High Life. No, don't. Just don't.
Yeah.
I mean, her, like, going to the library and checking out mystery crime books is not weird by any means, but the one that she found that described her disappearance almost exactly as she disappeared, that it sticks out to me.
Yes.
So I don't think the miscarriage or like botched abortion theory would make sense with that detail, right?
And then if the abortion thing isn't correct, then what about the man and the tree branches? Like, you know, if it was just her planning on getting away, unless she planned it with somebody. There's a few more things I want to read. When he gets there, he realizes she isn't going to make it, so he smashes the phone, drinks a beer, or gives her a beer to calm her down. He's like,
I love the fact that, like,
you're gonna die, have a beer.
Like, there's so many weird details of this story that people just don't know where to put it, and then so this person just says, like, and then drinks a beer, I guess, like, what the fuck, and puts on a trench coat.
The dentist connection is interesting to me because some abortion docs in the pre-Roe v. Wade world were also dentists. The dental exam could have been a cover for an abortion, which actually makes a lot of sense to me. Of like, and the reason why I noted that her college friend told her about this dentist, I'm wondering if, this is my own personal theory, what if she called her friend and was like, I need to get an abortion? And she's like, I have this dentist, and gave her the name of this new dentist.
Yeah. But I think in that case, like, if she goes missing, her friend would have mentioned that very important detail, right?
Yeah.
I think she would have maybe.
They're a dick.
Yeah, and wants to cover themselves.
The fact that she checked out that book that so specifically described the scene that was later found in her own house, I feel like she staged everything and left.
Yeah, that's kind of what I said before. I mean, there's some pretty dramatic explanations as to that. And, I mean, who knows, in mysteries like this or situations like this, who really knows, like, unless there's specific evidence that says, unless you also know this person very well or like the details of their disappearance, right? But I feel like there would have been more clues around if it was like a miscarriage or a botched abortion. Like there would have been something that could have like clearly said that. Car that was seen might be a logical explanation for like where the blood was found and like but still like why that theory is focused on in particular doesn't really make sense, especially in regards to the book. That is the one thing that stuck out to me.
Is the book that like how it's so similar.
I don't know, I'm just thinking like if her neighbor had seen her, like if all of that was happening, like someone was trying to hurt her or like she was in that particular desperate of a situation, don't you think she would have like cared more about her own life and like rushed down the driveway to her neighbor's house where she knew was across the street or something? Like any of that that doesn't make sense to me. Or someone would have heard something
or found,
or
if she did stage it, who was this mysterious branch car man?
If he was just like the poor like yard.
He was the landscaper.
I know my car's kind of shitty, but I'm not that suspicious. Okay.
He's like, I'm here every Thursday.
Drinking his beers,
drinking his
in the
beers.
trash can.
Yeah, unless the librarian murdered her and read the book.
We're just like turning this into a Scooby-Doo mystery now.
Tune in next time for some old mystery.
Depending if we do it morning or night.
Yeah.
Mystery of Brewing or Mystery Whiskery.
Yes.
Hour. The name can change.